Well, hey everybody, I'm Jan Erickson from Stepping Aside, and welcome to As Above, So Below, a rune and tarot divination for Thursday, the 30th day of November, 2023. Well, last day of the month, and we've got snow coming down, our first snow of the season. So we'll see what happens today. I doubt we're supposed to get much, but I don't know. I haven't looked at the weather report, so we'll see. But it's been really, really cold, and the sky just hasn't looked right. So I keep thinking, in fact, I said to my husband, we're going to get snow here sooner than later. The clouds are telling me that. I grew up part of my childhood in Alaska, and you don't forget that. You know, you don't forget what the weather feels like, what the air feels like, what the clouds look like. It's just something that, every time my mother would say something, I'd run out and I'd look, and she'd be outside too, and how do you know this? And she's just look at the clouds, and my mother, of course, as was I, we were both born in California, so this was a woman who was a beach bum. She would never have known anything about this, right? Living in Southern California. And so you catch on really quickly, is what I'm trying to say. Even when you're a child, you just know, and you can tell the weather turns, and it's like, okay, it's coming. And we woke up, and my husband says, it's snowing. Well, of course it is. Anyway, let's go ahead and get started. I hope your week has been going well. Let's see, what did I do with my little post-it note here on the screen? Let me bring this up and find my, oh, there it is. Okay. I try to write down, I don't think I did though. I didn't, because now this has been 10 days ago. I didn't write down what we did on Monday. So anyhow, I won't worry about that. Sometimes I like to refer to, especially if I think I've gotten the same cards or the same runes or whatever. Well, we won't worry about that. So anyway, let's go ahead and take the significator runes. The significator runes are the overall focus of the reading, in case you've never been here before. And if you haven't, welcome. I hope you'll click subscribe. And if others who haven't are still here, thank you so much. Please click subscribe. I'd love you to do that. And then I guess the YouTube folks want you to give it a like too. And do that as well if you want to. I don't know what any of that means, but whatever. I don't. Anyway, today's runes, the Elder Futhark rune for the above side, the higher self side, is Manaz. Manaz means man, means humanity. It's the 20th rune of the Elder Futhark, so it has a feeling of balance. 20 reduces to 2, and so that would be balance. It'd be love, it'd be reciprocity, healing, give and take. And Manaz is a very complex rune. I'm just going to quickly sketch it out for you to show you the number of runes that are actually visible in this. Essentially, it's the collective aspect of self, really. If everything is simply just a projection of our consciousness or the Creator's consciousness, and then each one of us is an aspect of that, then you have everything you see is just the other side of self. Everything is you experience is the projection you need to grow and learn and work through the theme that you came into this life with. And all of that, of course, is to bring back to the collective aspect of self, the collective consciousness. But here you have Manaz. In the center, you're going to see Gebo, the axe. If you terminate those ends, you're going to have Dagaz. You're going to see, let's see, you're going to have Isa on either side. Okay, that's a Norn rune for the static realm. Dagaz is a new day, the end of one phase, the beginning of another. Gebo is about reciprocity. It's about balanced energy exchange. It's the gift. It's marriage, partnership, a link between others. So you can see how all of these things are starting to come together in the idea of humanity. You also have Laguz, forward and reverse, which is flowing together, flowing in spirit. And then you also have Vunyo, which is fellowship and joy. So again, you can see how all of these runes come together and create Manaz. You have Vunyo down here. There's Vunyo reversed. So Manas then is going to be about integration, about mind, body, spirit connection. Let's see. It's going to be. It's also thought to be. It's known as the thought rune or memory. But when we talk about that, what we're really talking about there is the collective memory that we share together, the shared traditions, and that moves on into Othala. Othala is really about that. But with Manas, there's some integration here today between you and others that might come into play, and we don't know yet whether or not there's a problem with it, or it's like I really don't want to do that. I don't really want to be integrated with anybody today. Maybe that's something that's tough for you. Some people have a hard time with it. They like to work alone. They're really independent. They're kind of solitary, and I'm kind of both ways. I like to work with other people, but I also like to be alone. But here we have, like I said, we don't know what the other side of the equation is going to be. Rubeus is today's geomancy rune. Its complement is Albus. Albus would be the sage, the wise person, wisdom, clarity, all of that. Rubeus, on the other hand, is... It's kind of it's basically a misuse of force. It's somebody who, a Rubeus person would be somebody that's very service to self, very, very agenda driven, very, there you have Rubeus. Albus would be the complement. And so you've got both sides of the coin of the type of individual you're going to be. You're going to be wise and exercise clarity, higher vision. Or are you going to be entrenched in the ego and it's all about you and you don't really care what happens to other people? We've all experienced that. Maybe some of us have had issues like that ourselves. Where it's hard to really do for other people or to consider other people in the choices that we make. With Manas, it would suggest that's what needs to happen here. The higher purpose is to realize that you're not alone in the equation, that there is a certain level of cause and effect in everything we do. And we cause something, there is an effect on something else, either someone or something or a situation, what have you. And when you have Manas and Rubeus together here as the significators, then I think that we're looking at a situation where either someone might be feeling tempted to think about just themselves and something at the expense of other people, at the expense of the greater good. We hear that expression from time to time. You get politicians that aren't thinking about what's good for the country. They're thinking about what furthers their own personal agenda or the agenda of their donors or something like that. That would be taken to its extreme, would be Rubeus, because maybe what they want to do just doesn't serve the people. Or they're trying to insert themselves, like when you have politicians who want to insert themselves into a woman's right to choose. They are not understanding. They think that an ectopic pregnancy, for example, can be reimplanted. No, it can't. They don't understand what miscarriages are. They don't understand the health care that needs to happen when it happens, right? So it's somebody. So that would be an example of Rubeus energy, of trying to control people in a way that's not your place to do so. It's not your business, right? And I mean, that's kind of an extreme example, but we see examples of this all the time in our lives. You see it between neighbors, you see it between friends, coworkers. You could have coworkers who ride on the coattails of someone else and then decide they're going to take credit for something. That would be a Rubeus example of Rubeus energy. So just keep all that in mind here as we go on here with the cards. But clearly there's something that's going to interfere with the ability to understand that there is a collective thing going on here. There's a cooperative experience going on here. And higher self would say, well, you better come down on the side of Manas here instead of on the side of Rubeus, because it's probably not going to score you any points if you stay in the Rubeus energy with people, right? You might get what you want in the beginning of it all, but in the meantime, people are thinking and they're realizing who and what you are, and they're not going to be so willing to cooperate the next time. And so it's and in other words, Rubius energy people have a difficult time hiding that people generally at some point see them coming and see them for who they are. And so if you're struggling with that sort of choice today, understand that people notice, and you'll only get away with it for so long. But so anyway, I've cut the deck and I'm taking the lower half. Let's take the first 3 cards. Okay. Now we have one from the Major Arcana, one from the Court, which is also Minor Arcana, and also one from the Minor Arcana itself. And it's we have the 8 of Swords, which we just had. I don't know. That might have been on Monday. I don't know. Because I don't have it up here. I forgot to put it down so I could refer to it. But then we also have the 9 of Cups, and then we have the Lovers. Lovers would definitely align well with Manaz. And I don't really see, and Rubius may have something to do with the 8 of Swords. So let's start out with that. Here we have a woman in a red dress who's bound and blindfolded. She's surrounded by 8 swords, piercing the wet, soppy sand around her. She's got one foot actually in the water. She's got some toes in the water there with her left foot, and her right foot is on the sand here. So you've got a lot of different elements here, even though this is swords, and swords is reflects the air element. It's true with pretty much all of the cards. You can see other elements in them. Here you'll have earth with the castle on the hill and the sand. You've got water, of course, here. You've got will, a fire element represented by the red dress, because to bind herself and to put a blindfold on, basically what she's doing is she's going within. She's turning off the noise around her, the influences around her. And she's basically just trying to go within and understand maybe a higher purpose here. She's got way too much influence around her, and it could be quite negative. Swords can be very negative. I mean, anytime we start, gabbing, I mean, lots of things can happen, right? We can really stick our foot in our mouths. We can say things that we maybe mean but don't really want to tell anybody about, or maybe it gets away from you, and maybe in the moment you lash out and react, and in retrospect you're like, yeah, I really don't think that way. So it can be that kind of experience with swords. And although they can be positive cards too, very often it's considered the mouth getting away from you, or deception, or something like that. A lack of reason. You see it in other words, it's almost like this swords has more reversal energy in it than it does upright energy in it, but at times. But basically here, it takes the strength of character, it takes the inner will, and that's represented by that red dress, you see, to shut everything off and think your own thoughts and come to a better conclusion about something. And maybe she needs to make a decision or something. Or maybe she's just tired of everybody just trying to tell her how to think, right? And that could be the Rubius energy. There could be some external control on her that she feels, and she just wants to get away from it. So she's surrounded and she just goes within, and she doesn't look at them anymore, and she doesn't listen to them anymore. And with the numerology of 8 for the card, that's 8 is about not only material recognition and approval, a greater level of harmony. It's also leadership, but it's also strength. The strength card is card 8. And so we're looking at strength, inner strength that it takes to be able to exercise the will to step outside your comfort zone or the comfort zone of other people, what they want from you, and to do your own thing and to think your own thoughts. So that could be where we're starting here. And so the swords around her could represent that Rubius energy of people just trying to influence you in a way that maybe you've not been comfortable for a while, and you recognize the fallacy of what they're saying, but yet the impact of the group is so strong, and the expectations of the group is so strong on you that it's hard to release from it. It's hard to walk away and know that there's some other higher purpose here here that you need to be focusing on instead of the ego stuff that the rest of them are focusing on. One way we know it's ego is the swords are pointed downward into form, into the earth. And so that would be the personality or ego side. If they were pointed upward, then they're pointed upward to spirit. And so those are lofty thoughts and all of that. So in any event, we're going to start out there, and that's going to be probably related to the Rubius energy. And it's not her, it's the noise around her, it's the people around her, it's the chatter around her, and she doesn't want to be influenced by that anymore. And so maybe if you're going through something like that right now in your life, what the Eight of Swords is going to suggest is that you turn all that off and you get away from it in some way, and you focus on what you truly believe and have the courage to do that, the will, the inner will and the inner strength to do that. The next we have the Knight of Cups. We have a knight that is, knights are chivalrous. They're on a quest. They're older than the page. Pages are students. Sometimes they're called princesses, and the knights are called princes, depending on the type of deck. The more hermetic oriented decks, Golden Dawn oriented or that type of thing, they change, like the Thoth Tarot from Crowley. They changed that, some of the names on that, and you'll see it in pagan decks as well. Only maybe they're called something else entirely. So and oftentimes you'll find instead of cups, it'll be vessels, and so whatever. It just depends on what it is, but it's all the same thing, right? So you just got to get used to the different terminology used in some of these decks. But this is the Rider-Waite deck and that I use for these readings, and so we're going to go with the Knight of Cups. So Cups is our emotions, it's change, it's momentum, it's balance, reciprocity. And here you see a knight on his gray steed here, and the horse looks like he's about to step over the small creek in front of them. You see the little creek winding there next to the cliffs there on this side. It looks like maybe there might be some kind of building over here. It's just kind of a squiggle and a blob, and so it doesn't really look like it per se, but it could be in shadow. There could be something there. Because it doesn't look like it's really part of the cliff there. But he's holding out. I mean, he's dressed in battle attire like the knight would be, but he's not in battle. His visor's up. That's how you know he's not in battle. You see a winged sun here on his helmet, and that's going to be about healing. And because the sun is about healing, and you see the caduceus, and you'll see it's all involved in healing there, and so he's there to help. He's there to help heal a situation. Maybe he holds his chalice out in offering. He's romantic. He's chivalrous. He's passionate. He's a visionary. And there's a sense of arrival. I've arrived. I'm here to help you. And so maybe he's going throughout the area, the land, and he's going and he's offering his assistance to the little villagers around, right? Or the farmers. If it's not if there's no village there, maybe there's just different folks around in the countryside there that have little farms, and he's just there to offer some help and assistance and some guidance for them, to help them learn to cooperate with one another and to come together in harmony. That would be part of the suit of cups. And so maybe after you've gone within and you've decided, I don't like this feeling of this group I'm listening to. Or these people that are surrounding me. And it doesn't really matter who it is. If it's family, if it's close friends, if it's, just some group you belong to or whatever, I'm not comfortable anymore. So I'm going to think my own thoughts, and I'm going to make some other decisions about what I want my life to look like. And so maybe you're the Knight of Cups and you want to go and extend that idea to other people and to help them also come out of a difficult situation like that. Or it could be that you're reaching out to somebody who can help you make sense of what's going on in your life, and maybe a counselor of sorts. That's just there to help, or just a trusted friend, that's not caught up in the stuff that you've been listening to, and isn't part of that experience, that's separate from all of that. And again, you could be, or it could represent that you're on some kind of a journey or quest to develop more compassion in your life. Maybe the group of people that you're listening to or that are trying to influence you aren't the most compassionate. Generally, when people are trying to do that, they aren't. It's really, really about their own purpose, their own agenda. It's not really about you. They just need someone else to listen to them and to do what they want. For some reason, it gives them inner power, right? To do that to somebody else. And so maybe you end up, after you release whatever this is for you, maybe then you're on this quest to find something new that's compassionate and loving and helpful and kind, and to have that, in search of that type of experience. Maybe with swords, whatever the 8 swords are representing, maybe there's a harshness to it. Maybe where you're with a group of people that are just very negative or controlling, or maybe you're dealing with a lot of people there's a lot of racism going on right now that's being out. People didn't necessarily express it, but now there's no question about it, right? Maybe you're being exposed to too much of that type of negativity, and it's just not right, and you know it, and you want to get away from it. And so maybe the night is about pursuing something else, that's more loving and kind and helpful and compassionate and based on understanding and universal truth and all of that. Maybe it could be that. So I think we can read the night in a variety of ways here. Again, it could be someone you seek out, or it could be the journey that you're taking after you've released what's no longer working for you. Where are you going to go? Well, now you're on your quest to find that out. But with cups, again, it's talking about love and compassion, and there's also fundamental change. So it could be a complete change from whatever you've surrounded yourself with, and now you're just off on your own, and you're just trying to find a new path that you need to follow. And then we end with the Lovers. Now, the Lovers, it's the 6th card of the major arcana. And before we do that, let's, I'm going to look at the numerology. The court doesn't have one. If it did, he'd be a 12. So a 3 numerology, but we don't usually do that. But here we have an 8. We have 2 from Manas, so that's 10, and so 10 is going to reduce to 1. 1 and 0 equals 1, right? So 1 is new beginnings, all right. And again, she needs a new beginning, right? And so we have the numerology of 1 so far, plus the Lovers is 6, and so now you've got a 7 numerology for the whole reading. So you're looking at balance. You're looking at letting things settle out, envisioning the scales and putting things on them and weighing things out and finding a balance. It's about observation. It's also about spirituality. So there's a spiritual level then with the Lovers, perhaps, a higher purpose. We see the angel above with the sun shining all over the place, just brilliant, the rays going everywhere. You see the angel with the red wings, and so there's a little invocation of higher will there. Sitting on top of a cloud. Now it's kind of dark. You see the representations of Adam and Eve here. This would be Adam, this would be Eve. You see the tree of life with apples and the serpent behind Eve, or the tree of knowledge, rather, not the tree of life, the tree of knowledge. And then you see an oak tree that's trying to find its way here in the light. It's not big though, is it? It's very spindly, but it's growing. And so the man is growing, but at the same time, the woman is the one with the knowledge. I don't view this as, I don't view any devil in this card where the devil is the serpent has come to try to influence Eve. All the serpent did was try to give some knowledge to the one who'd listen. Okay. And so I don't read this in a patriarchal way at all, as I'm sure you can tell. But one thing I do notice about this card is this mountain between them. Look where it's pointing to. Excuse me. It's leaning in the direction of the woman, isn't it? Now, if we look at this as the receptive and projective presence, or the feminine and masculine within, Again, not gender, but energy. The feminine is represented by the dark. It's the void of creation, and so that would be the dark side of things. And then the lighter side of things would be the initiation into form. That would be the manifestation of will into form. That would be the masculine side. All too often we get caught up in the man and woman side of it, the gender side of it, and that's not what this is. But here we have the Lovers. This is about balance and duality. It's about discrimination, choice. It's the self and others. It's integration. It's unification. Now, whether we look at this as a new partnership that's coming your way after you leave the negative influences here behind, whether they're your own or someone else's, you then go on a journey, a heart journey, basically. Trying to find, where do I belong? Where is my purpose? Where can I find love? Where can I find understanding? How do I express that in myself? And then we come to some kind of balanced integration where we've discovered just how to do that. And it's with higher purpose. You see, she's looking at the angel. He's looking at her. She's the one controlling the knowledge here. It's the goddess within. It's the feminine divine within that is willing to listen to truth, to higher truth. Whereas maybe the Mars energy in the masculine side of self is like, well, no, I'm gonna think my own thoughts. I'm gonna do my own thing. I'm gonna decide for myself. No, you're a soul. And the masculine side might get ahead of itself and say, I'm not gonna worry about that. I'm gonna do it. It's the ego. In other words, the ego takes over. All right. You can look at this as a balance between spirit and ego if you want to, or higher awareness and ego, because she's the one listening. She's the one eating from the tree of knowledge. She's the one who's accepting the truth, the higher truth of who she is and how she is to conduct herself in this life. In a way with compassion and understanding, the cup side of things. She's the grail, essentially, if you want to look at it that way. And so with 6, you have empathy, you have guidance, you have assistance, you have balance, you have harmony. But it can also be, if it's ill-dignified or reversed, it could be, you look at the 6 of Pentacles and you see the man of means standing upright, and the 2 people that don't have any money are on the ground with little blankets over them, and he's dropping coins into one of their hands. He's doing absolutely nothing to lift them out of the poverty they're in. Okay, so that would be a real imbalance there of that whole 6 of Pentacles energy. All right, he's not doing anything to create any. He's not giving them a job. He's not helping them change their circumstances at all. He's just throwing some coins in their hand, which is designed to keep them there. It's really more of an example of the caste system or class system, if you will, where you can't get out of where you are. And it's like, that's ridiculous. Of course you can. Well, not if society stops you. So the man could represent society, keeping those poor people where they are, and they don't have any opportunity to get anywhere else. Well, to me, that's not an example of empathy or a gift or anything else. It's not really helping anybody. You're not assisting anybody, except maybe making yourself feel better about their circumstances that you really are hands off in. You're not going to participate in it. You'll throw them a little crumbs, but that's about it, right? So I don't react well to that card. It's like, okay, it depends on the other cards around it, but I don't like that card. But that's an expression of that. And so it's certainly not an expression of Manas and how we come together in harmony and love and unity. And I think that what the Lovers is suggesting, that as we turn our attention to higher awareness, to spirit, as represented by the sun and the angel here, and learn what that's about, and embrace that whole concept as who we actually are, we then become what it is we're looking for, essentially. And I think that with the quest of the Knight of Cups, we're looking for something. Once we release this stuff that no longer serves us, whether it's imposed on us by some Rubius energy, or whether it's just the perceptions that we have that we've been operating under, and it's like, wow, this just doesn't feel right anymore. So we're going to let that go, whatever the basis of it is, and we're going to start on our quest and on our journey to find something else, you see. And then from there, we become integrated, a better sense of integration within the self and also with others, and that would reflect Manas. So it could be that right now you're struggling with some things, either some outside influences that really aren't what you feel comfortable with. And so it takes some courage to let that go. It really does. It takes the invocation of inner will that's from a higher perspective to stand tall and firm in what you know, in the higher awareness of what you know. And then you go on your quest, or you reach out to somebody that can help you with it. But I kind of think this is more, just feels more like you're going then, once you've done that, what do? Well, you're going to set out on your journey to find the completion that you're looking for, and the inner balance that you're looking for, and the love and compassion that you're looking for. And I think you see that both in the Knight of Cups and then ending with the Lovers. So you're looking for a different integration with other people, I guess you could say. And it could be that you find a partner that way. I mean, it could be that, you know. You don't want to let go of that idea either. But just in a general sense, you let go of what no longer serves. You begin a journey in faith and in love and in healing, to try to heal all of that and try to find that type of an existence for yourself, where you can reflect that both within and find that within others. But initially, though, it's got to begin with you. And the Lovers could just simply represent healing that balance within, so that you're focused on fundamental truth, on higher truth, like the woman is here in the picture. Well, you know, that's a lot. That's a lot for a Thursday. It's like, oh boy, now. But see, it's snowing out, so what else are you going to do, right? If it's snowing where you are, what else are you going to do but sit and think about things, you know, with maybe a nice warm cup of tea or cocoa or some nice coffee drink. I'm swearing off of those because my husband, they're just so, I don't know. He makes a latte for me, and I don't know. I think it's got more calories in it than everything else I eat during the day. So I just don't think that's a good idea. And so, especially going into winter, so I haven't been having any of that. But this might be a day where you know, you just sort of let that go and say, well, I'm going to have something fun while the snow's coming down and all of that. But just stay warm and you know, be with family and friends, or, you know, if you're at work, you know, maybe just, it's just a different feeling when the snow starts falling, isn't it? It really, at least it is for me. I don't know. Maybe it's the Alaska thing. I don't know, but I don't know. It's like, oh, cool. It's like, oh no. So it's because I've got an 800-foot driveway, and if it gets too deep, my husband has to get the snowblower out and get all of it out of there so we can get out of the driveway. Yeah, otherwise we're stranded here. Literally, we're stranded here. We can't get out. We just can't. So, and I no longer have an SUV. I drive a Camry. And so, I mean, the commercial of it's grounded to the ground. Oh, yes, it is. It is, especially in the snow. It's great in the snow, you know. It's just you don't want to have to push it with the front of your car, because you're not going to be able to do that. It's so low to the ground, you know. But anyway, I guess that's it. Thanks for watching. And, you know, again, these are interesting times we live in. And I know that there's, I every so often I'll get a reading like this where, you know, in fact, maybe one a month, where we've got to really take a look at what we're hearing and what we're being exposed to, and how it's influencing us. And if it's not influencing us in a way of harmony and greater understanding of who we are to each other, and expressing that love and kindness and support and generosity of spirit, if we're not on that side of things, it can be a very difficult time. It's difficult to watch it, to see it unfold for people, to see people speak the way they do, and to say the things they say that just, it's like, you know, that they claim they're religious, and yet, really, is that what your religion teaches you? You stand back and it's puzzling. It's puzzling that there's so much personal agenda going on, that rubious energy that's going on right now. And to pull Manaz in conjunction with that today to start us out, I really think it's showing the polarity that we're living under. And it's not comfortable. It's not we shouldn't want other people or demand from other people that they believe our whatever religious teachings we believe. We just shouldn't do that. We should have excuse me, we should have the ability to turn that off and just say, no, I'm not going to listen to that stuff. If it's not what you believe, it's not what you believe. And if we're supposed to allow other people to have their beliefs, why can't they allow that for us, for the rest of the people? It's that kind of thing going on. And yet they want to try to, enshrine it into law, essentially, in our country. It's like, no, no, that's not what this place is about. It's having the freedom to believe what you want, to worship the way you want, or not at all. And to have the autonomy to make personal choices for yourself that don't violate law, that don't violate someone else, but especially in terms of a woman's right to choose, which is what I started out with talking about today. It just seems like we're in this weird place now where other people wish to control all that. And it's a minority of people that want to do that. And the rest of us are going, no, that's not going to happen. Well, it kind of is right now. And you look at the news articles that are out about things that are happening in some of these states where this is going on, and women are suffering. They're just flat out suffering for it. And so, I look at this woman in the 8, and it just feels that way to me. It's like, enough, enough already. Don't tell me what to do. I'm going to do what I'm going to do. There's nothing wrong with what I'm doing. Just leave me alone, especially if a woman's life is at stake. And to take away healthcare options for her, that's ridiculous. That's cruel. It's cruel. And so there's just an element of that with the 8 for me. And it always has been. It's just like, leave me alone. I don't want to listen to this nonsense anymore. I'm going to go and I'm going to find my way in love and unity and fellowship and joy and companionship and cooperation and collaboration. I want to live on that side of the equation. And I think that that's what this is saying. To reject the rubious energy and to live in love and unity, and live in truth with other people, in a way that elevates people spiritually, instead of trying to control people and putting them in such untenable positions, and risking jail even for simply wanting to protect your health, to protect your life, to have the other side of the coin here, the other side of the equation, enacting laws in states that prevent a woman from doing that. I mean, can you imagine? I mean, this was always the way it was until it wasn't, and now it is again. It's like, how did we get here? How did this happen? Because it can't happen, right? This isn't right. It's not based in science. It's not based in truth. It's based in fantasy that others wish you to believe in and be controlled by. But it's not yours. It's not your belief system. And so I think that that's where we are. And how many people feel like the woman in the 8 of Swords now, where you're being forced into something if you live in one of those states. I'm lucky I don't. Oregon isn't like that. So, I mean, there might be people in Oregon that feel that way, but Oregon itself is not like that. And so you don't have those issues here. And there's other states you don't have those issues. But yet now you see women in all these other states that are having to cope with things that they shouldn't have to cope with. It's bad enough what's going on in their life at that moment, to have a miscarriage or something like that, and to not be able to seek healthcare to make sure you're okay, that there's, that you're going to be fine through it. You can't do that? Really? Nah, that's nonsense. That's just cruel. It's cruel and unusual punishment. It's what it is. And so, again, I think that many of us feel this way now, where we're being, it depends on where you live, but many people feel now, women in particular, where they're being forced to do things that are not right and are not in their best interests and are not going to keep them healthy and alive, you see. So that's I think what and I think tarot, you can think of it as some ooey thing, but it's really not. It's very practical. So are runes. It's about how do we make it through this life in a way that elevates us spiritually, And what's happening right now is there's a real polarity that's harming all of that, that's influencing all of that, that's the swords around her, all of that basically. So I don't know, the idea of snow coming down. It's like you have a new landscape. A new landscape is possible. It reminds us of that. So be reminded of that today, and head on and understand the impact Rubius can have on the manaz aspect of life. So I guess we'll end with that. Thanks for watching. And check out the blog over at Stepping Aside. The web address there is imsteppingaside.com. If you forget, click on more below the video. Little window opens up and it'll be right there, along with some other things. If you scroll down to the bottom, then you'll find it everywhere I am on social media, at least so far. And have a good weekend, and come back again on Monday for another edition of As Above, So Below. Be good to yourself, be good to one another, and blessed be.